Hello and thanks for joining me. Today I've come back to one of the places that I visited a few weeks ago when I did a whistle-stop tour of park and shoot locations. Now I had a bit of an excuse because I was out earlier in the week with Gary Norman of Re Photography and I left my jacket at Cafe Shabod. So I was forced to come back to the mountains to pick it up. I didn't leave it there deliberately, honest. Anyway, because it's such a lovely afternoon, even though it's the middle of February and there's quite a stiff breeze, it's not at all cold. So I thought I'd swing by Llynnau Mymbr for another go at the lakes where I was huddling under a poncho the last time I was here. Now, just as a reminder of how to find this, what you do is come out of Capel Curig heading towards Beddgelert, and within about half a mile on your left hand side you'll see the twin lakes and there's a car park right by it. Now I am about 50 meters from the car because I wanted to get into position for this shot, and it's a shot that you may have seen quite a few times before because it's a classic sunrise location. When the sun comes up behind Crimpiau, it shines right across onto the Snowdon horseshoe. But it's a completely different time of day and completely different light. It's quite challenging because I'm going to be shooting directly into the sun as it goes down behind the horseshoe. But there is a lot of high cloud and I'm hoping we might get a bit of colour in that with the mountains silhouetted. I'm not after the classic combination of rocks in the foreground, the lake, and then the mountains in the far distance. I'm going to be using the lens on quite a long telephoto and really getting into the silhouette of the shape of the mountains, hopefully with a lit up sky behind it. So I'll get set up and then I'll show you what I'm up to. So this is going to be a really difficult exposure. The sun is just hitting the horizon to the left of the Snowdon horseshoe. Now the horseshoe is mostly silhouetted, but there are some shafts of light coming across, so I'm hoping I can take advantage of that. At the moment I can't really get a very long exposure on. I'm struggling to get it up above 10 seconds really, even though I've got the aperture closed right down to f16 at the moment, which I'm sure some people will comment is far too small an aperture for this particular lens on this particular camera. As far as I'm concerned, I'll use the tools that I've got to get the image that I want, and if it's not the sharpest image in the world, I don't care. I've got this really nice bank of lazy, hazy, high cloud that I'm really hoping will light up. The light is absolutely spectacular. I just hope I can really capture it. There's a few bits and bobs of snow up on the high peaks as well that I can see with the naked eye, but I'm willing to bet the camera is not going to get anywhere near catching any of that. So I'm set up with 10 stop and also a 0.9 soft grad because this dynamic range is off the scale. It's going to be really interesting to see what I can do with it. One filter that I haven't got on at the moment is a polarizing filter because I particularly want the light reflecting off the lake as I go for the longest exposure I can get. It's still about 20 minutes to the official sunset time, but of course when you're in the mountains it's important to remember that you're dealing with high ridges, so the sun actually goes down behind the ridges quite a while before it's due to officially set. I'm getting a little bit of clipping in the very brightest part of where the sun is, but I can live with that. I'm getting about a 13-second exposure now, so I'm happy with that. A little bit earlier it was nowhere near long enough. I really want to try and get rid of the motion in the lake because the wind is really quite strong, so it's churning the lake up, and to be honest it's actually not doing the composition any favours, so I really want to get it as smoothed out as I can. So I'm having a really hard time keeping the camera steady in this wind. But I wanted to show you something where this camera can actually show you the long exposure as you're taking it. So if you watch the back of the screen, you can see the exposure building up and the histogram building, and it just means you can monitor it for as long as you need to and hopefully get the perfect exposure. The main problem, of course, at the moment is keeping the camera steady. I think that'll do it for this one. Well, the light was absolutely stunning. It really was. I just hope I've been able to do it justice, because the wind is relentless. My vlogging cameras have been blowing over, so I think I'm probably going to have to leave it there for this one. I'm going to stick around for a little bit and see if I can get any more images, because actually I really want to try and get something as sharp as I can, and I don't know if I have yet. I hope that what I was able to show you on the back of the camera gives you a flavour of how useful this camera is to landscape photographers, but I probably haven't done it justice, because I could barely keep my vlogging camera still. Anyway, listen, I'll leave it there for this one. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and if you haven't done it yet, why not subscribe now and join me next time. Cheers.